This is the part of the broadcast where I tell you a little bit about my personal news. And even before we get to that, this is a special day today. The funniest part about it is that it's Labor Day weekend, and like I have no idea. I totally forgot. One, because I didn't grow up in this country, but also because I don't stop laboring. Anyway, all right, let's get right into it. Let me tell you, this is part of the broadcast where I tell you a little bit about my personal news, about what's going on in my life in between the time period that I press the stop streaming button and press the start streaming button. And last night we played a lot of Starfield. It was awesome. Not a lot. We played like 2 hours of Starfield. It was great. Yeah, that is a Teddy Fresh rug. You already know it. So, folks. All right. So I played Starfield. I liked it, even though the constellation is actually probably the weakest part of the game so far. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's mid. Like, the constellation is not the Thieves Guild. You know what I mean? It's not a good band of characters. It is very weak, but it doesn't matter because the world is seemingly awesome. I think it's not a masterpiece. Like, why does everything have to be Elden Ring? You know what I mean? Why does everything have to be like the greatest game of all time or some shit? Like, it doesn't have to be a masterpiece for you to enjoy it. You know what I mean? It's a very fun game. And I like it so far. Starfield hates starting before he even plays the game. Sad. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, like, there's also the people who are like, if you give it something that is, come on, Hasan, be objective, Starfield is overhyped because it's Bethesda. Yeah, I think a lot of people, here's the thing. I think a lot of people are rating this off of what they expected it to be or something, if they're giving it, like, too low of a rating. And then on top of that, because the expectations are so high that people are like, no, this is the greatest game of all time. If you give it a 7, you're a piece of shit. It's very strange. It's a fire-ass game. I'm happy with it. The shooting is good. The flying is good. The movement is, like, way more fluid than I thought it was going to be. It's great. Anyway, I don't want to talk about Starfield right now. You know what I want to actually talk about? Not Starfield. Not space pirates. But pirates in the water. Pirates in the East Blue. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and MBs, I watched the One Piece live action last night, and I burned through 3 episodes. And on the 4th one, I fell asleep because I was really tired. But let me tell you, it's actually very good. I'm not even kidding. It's actually good. And not only is it good, but I also think it's good for normies. It doesn't suck. And it also, quite literally, is good for normies. If you are not familiar with One Piece, you could probably watch it, and appreciate it as well. It's a good introduction to the sequence, to the series. I have some questions about it, but I think normies will watch it and normies would like it. You don't want to know why? I was watching it, but my mom starts watching it. While I'm watching it, I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? She's like, this seems good. Like, this is a fun thing to watch. Like, I'm invested. I think the One Piece so far is real. The One Piece live action is good. Yeah, I'll say it. They fixed up 2 of the characters that I actually have a lot of issues with, especially in the early arcs, Usopp and Buggy the Clown. It's even darker, dare I say, grittier, more realistic, more violence, ultra violence in certain instances, things that you don't get in the anime in the early seasons at all. And I'm not even talking about the 4Kids version. I'm talking straight up. The regular Toei version still did not feature a tremendous amount of blood and gore and violence in the early stages. Zoro cutting people's heads off, cutting people in half, actually very good. Now, of course, Matt, who I trust, has taken a lot of creative liberties in, like, storytelling, but overall, I think they've done some pretty decent narrative changes that ultimately work well. And the fight sequences are awesome. And dare I say, even the CGI is pretty good for an adaptation. It went above and beyond my expectations. The one thing I will say is that one thing that absolutely excelled was not the character design, was not the live action fight sequences. It wasn't Nami in general, even though Nami is incredible. They've done a really good job with Nami. It's the world. The sets are insane. They pop out. I can't understand how they took, like, the actual design that is fucking animated, drawn, and brought it into the real world It is so incredible. The practical effects on, yes, the practical design elements are intense. Like, they are insane. They excel so much that the background becomes, in certain instances, the foreground. I haven't seen Baratie yet. I'm on episode 3. But like in Syrup Village, when you go into the beautiful villa, you're like, wow, this is kind of crazy. Like, this is actually, the set design is out of control. And I think it plays a really good job of helping you get immersed. Obviously, I do have the same issues with like Garp not throwing the cannons, or Luffy refusing to get food. That was weird. Or Nami putting the thing that she stole back. Like, there are moments where you're like, what's going on? This is unceremonious. This is not what this character would do. But having said that, they made Usopp likable, which is incorrect and bad. Yes, they made Usopp likable, which I like. So compare with Death Note and Cowboy live action? Well, I can't, because I've never watched Death Note or Cowboy Bebop's live action, because I did not want to do that to myself. I did not want to do psychic damage to my brain like that, which is precisely the reason why I didn't actually watch that. However, I did watch this, and let me tell you, it's great. It's great. You want to hear something crazy, though? They don't have a Japanese version or even subtitles, bunch of languages, but not Japanese. It probably is not playing in Japan. That's probably why. Okay, one other issue is the snails are too realistic, which is kind of gross. The snails are kind of gross. I feel like people are going to get thrown off by the snails, especially when Garp is feeding one lettuce. I was like, this is too much. Why did you do this? It's a little too much. But yeah, it's really sick. The Japanese dub used the OG anime voices for the Straw Hat Crew. Oh, that's awesome. Wow. That's gonna bang. Okay. Zoro is incredible. The only issue is, I think, with Zoro is that, like, maybe they could have made him a little bit more goofy. Like, they made him too cool, where, like, Zoro does have some goofy elements to him. Like, he gets lost a lot, or he's, like, supposed to be kind of a drunk or whatever. They made him too hot, and they made him too cool. But, like, also at the same time, he is really hot and really cool. So I don't really have that much of an issue. So there is that. Don't know why we're slandering your One Piece cameo already. Don't know why they chose to feature so early on the Garp and what's his name, Helmeppo or whatever. What's the kid who gets his glow up? Like, they certainly Kobe, yeah, they certainly use the Kobe Garp dynamic like way more than, like, they're basically showing it in real time, which in the show they never did, right? They gave you like a couple elements of it, but they never actually like get that deep into that relationship, and then it kind of drops later. And obviously we all know how that relationship unfolds. But one thing that's really cool about the anime or the manga that you can't really do with a Netflix adaptation is that you can't have 1,000 episodes and then they just like reveal shit later. I wonder, in my mind, if that will possibly play a role in the way people consume it. Like, because that is a huge part of One Piece, is that you things that happen in the first season are important, 1,000 episodes later, right? Kobe is so much less annoying than in the anime. I mean, maybe. It's just, they're not necessarily planting seeds, instead just showing you directly. And that kind of narrative storytelling you can do in a movie, in a live action movie, that you wouldn't be able to do in the anime anyway. So there are advantages to that medium, and I do think that they are utilizing those advantages. Does that make sense? So I like that. Let's hope we age Ace next season. Do you think One Piece live action is going to adapt everything, or do you think Netflix is going to do the usual, cancel the show after 2 to 3 seasons? It's all entirely dependent on how much popularity it gains. Netflix doesn't do anything if it's not popular, and they will do everything if it is. I don't know if they will cancel it. I mean, we'll see. Overall, I only just saw Arlong briefly, and even he is not as offensive. Like, at first I thought ultimately that this was going to be like impossible to watch because of the Fishmen, but because the world is so well designed that I'm willing to not get upset about that. You know what I mean? At first he looks a little off, but then you're like, it's fine. It fits in the world is what I mean. Because remember, the world of One Piece in live action is like obviously not going to be as colorful and as vibey as like the anime and manga is, right? And they also can't make the characters as jacked as they normally would be. Like they tried their best with Garp, right? Like Garp is supposed to be this towering figure, this like hulking man, this giant, right? And like there are real world limitations to how you could make that work with practical effects. It's not exactly like you can't find a guy that looks like that is built like The Rock. You know what I mean? Who also is going to be a great actor. So if you're trying to tell me this is good, I don't believe you. You don't have to. I'm just giving you my takes on it. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to like it. You can say it sucks if you want. You know, definitely does not feel like a show for adults. Would be perfect for kids though. Just acting and writing production is great, but just cheesy. I don't know. I think it's for all age groups overall. I think the funniest thing is people that watch the live action are probably not going to like the anime. People that really like the live action are going to go back to the anime and be like, because if you're used to that, like, Luffy is so good, by the way. Like, holy shit. Not gassing my man up, but he was right. Matt was right. Oda was right. Luffy is Luffy. He is such a good Luffy. Like, that's not an easy character, in my opinion, to create and perfectly personify. Because you're supposed to be parts goofy, parts happy-go-lucky, but also take it seriously from time to time. It's just, I think he's very good. So he also has to be annoying. Accent threw me off for a little, but then it clicked so good. The intro scene was his weakest so far. It's only gotten better since. I'm feeling the Luffy selection. I think it's good. But overall, very good. Very good show. I like it. I like it a lot. Love Buggy. I can't believe I'm saying this. Loved Buggy. Love the way they portray Buggy. Love the way that they show Buggy. I think that the way that they show Buggy and his actions, unironically, fit better than the anime and the manga. Like they get his essence and his vibes so perfectly, and then they put him in a different setting that is not technically the same in the anime. Well, I can't speak on the manga because I didn't read the manga at that point. But they did a really good job of like putting him in a different setting that's still kind of similar, but like with the whole trap town that has to applaud and you know it's a carnival setting. Like all of that stuff works really well, and I think it makes Buggy look great too. Personally, I was shocked that they found people that look so much like the characters, like the Buggy's captains. Like the one guy with the hair literally looks exactly like he's in the anime. Like it's wild. Here, let me show you. Let's see. Let me see if I can find one of his captains. Yeah, this guy was literally the same, dude. This guy was straight up the same person. I do not know how they were able to do this, but they found like the actual person from the panel. It's like a 1-to-1. But anyway, there are obviously parts where I'm just like narratively speaking, I think they move the plot along. Like obviously Syrup Village is not a 1-to-1. They added new characters, kind of. Well, technically, I don't even know if they're actually originally in the Black Cat Pirates crew. The Kuro character was really good. I mean, he was great, but then they kind of like they have to work within a limited time frame. So they added, you know, they didn't actually add the rest of the Black Cat crew, like the Hypnosis guy or whatever. And instead, they just made it like a much smaller crew. They didn't give you Kuro's background. Ultimately, I think that is fine. That's a decision that's okay. Did you watch all the live action already? No, I've only watched 3 episodes. Like I think I fell asleep by the end of the was it the Miarabon or the Black Cat Pirates sequence? That's when I basically fell asleep. The live action I think will be entertaining for people who don't watch the anime at all. Shanks is fine. His hair is not as bothersome for me, I think. But I think it's just because I like the story, you know? I like the story. I like the way that they did it. I think they did a good job. So that's part of it. Like when I was looking at the trailer, I was like hyper fixating on certain aspects of it. And now I realize that it's like it's not all that significant. You know what I mean? No, I think if you don't watch anime, you won't like the live action. It was made for weebs. I don't think so. I think like there are parts where you will probably be like confused or frustrated, where you're like, why are these guys dressed the way they are? You know what I mean? But I think you could appreciate it. It's still pirate stuff. Yeah, there is weirdness in it for sure. But it's the medium is accessible to a certain degree, because it's like the medium itself is I mean, it's pirate shit. You know, everybody knows pirates as a concept. But that's it. Dun 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 dun.